Today's lesson is about poetry. Poetry is a major form of literature, same to prose. But what is the difference of prose to poetry? In prose, we use sentences and paragraphs. It does not pay attention to rhyme and rhythm, and it is more natural and grammatical language. The materials under prose are narratives, novels, novellas, and short stories. Sa prose, mas natural. Hindi nito kailangan ng malalalim at mabubulaklak na salita. Mas nagfo-focus ito sa grammar at kailangan din ng mas mababaw na pagkakasulat upang mas maintindihan ng mga mambabasa. While in poetry, it uses lines and stanzas, it pays attention to rhyme and rhythm, and it is written in a figurative, creative, and rhythmical language. Sa poetry, madalas binibigyan ng pansin nito ang paglalapat ng tugma, paggamit ng mga malalalim ngunit angkop na salita, tulad ng paggamit ng tayutay or in English, figures of speech, ng idioms at ng iba pa. Why do we write poems? What is its purpose? Acrostically, putting words on papers to express thoughts from me right to your heart. This is the acrostic definition of poetry. This also answers our questions. We write poems to express ourselves, to express our thoughts, emotions, feelings, and ideals. Its main purpose is to express. How about the denotative definition of poetry? Ano nga ba ang nakasulat sa libro na tunay na kahulugan ng tula? Poetry is more on the form and language that the poet used rather than the theme itself. This refers to a writer that will express himself in a way wherein he is comfortable, kung saan siya gamay at kung saan siya sanay. He'll prioritize what he wanted to say first, then the structure of the poem will just follow. Next, poetry may be defined as a kind of language that says no more and say it more intensely than does ordinary language. This explains that even there are restrictions, that even we are limited to write our thoughts in just lines, verses, stanzas, metric, rhyme and rhythm that we have to follow in poetry, it still manages to tell an amazing deep story. Third one is poetry is a transfiguration of life. In other words, an imaginative native representation in verse or rhythm of whatever men perceive, feel, think, or do. Transfiguration means transforming. We are transforming these thoughts, experiences, and emotions into words and papers. Lastly, it is a form of literature that uses aesthetic and rhythmic qualities of language, such as phonesthetics, sound symbolism, and meter, to evoke meanings in addition to or in place of the prosaic ostensible meaning. As was defined previously, in writing poetry, we are using rhyme and other rhythmic qualities. We are also using figurative language to keep our readers interested, immersed, and entertained while they are reflecting and understanding our literary pieces. To keep our readers' interest in poetry, we have to use imagery. So according to Palanca Hall of Famer and Metro Bank outstanding teacher, Dr. Leoncio P. Derriada, Imagery is painting of words, and the easiest way to create images in the mind of our readers, or rather, for us to paint words, we have to use figures of speech. There are 10 characteristics of poetry. First, we have a poem enhances imagination. It enhances imagination in all types of literature. We uses our imagination. We use our imagination. There are 10 characteristics of poetry. First, a poem enhances imagination. In all types of literature, we uses our imagination. We use our imagination to better understand the text or messages in the material. In poetry, it gives another challenge for the readers to think and to imagine more since it has the characteristic of being deep. Its message lies deep within. Second, it is creative. We have to be creative for the readers to keep on reading and interested in this type of literature. Third, it uses descriptive and vivid language to intensify its sound and meaning, to avoid misleading and misinterpretation with the audience. Fourth, enhances recalling memories among the readers or listeners. Since readers are using their imagination, they will also be able to pull up or recall their own experiences similar to the situation given. If they haven't experienced anything like that, it will provoke thoughts, meaning they will try to put themselves into the persona of the poem to better understand and reflect on the piece. Once the readers unlock the number 1, 4, and 5, or just even 1 and 5, either will lead to number 6, which develops emotional response. Once they reflect on it, they will be able to react. They will smile or they may smile, laugh, cry, be angry, irritated, and so on. Giving their emotional response identify you as an effective and good poet. 7. It uses figurative language. 8. Has rhythm and rhyme pattern. 9. A story in verse. In poetry, again, even we are limited to lines, verses, stanzas, it still can tell an entire beautiful story. Each line will serve as an episode that will tell a specific experience or thought that when combined to the other stanzas will be a whole entire story. Last but not the least, it has the presence of physical and grammatical words to enhance readers' overall experience. We still should be consider the form or structure of our poems. Grammar should still be considered and should be observed. Why? Sabihin natin kayo ang mambabasa. Habang nagbabasa kayo, may napansin kayong mali. Pwedeng wrong spelling or grammatical error sa subject-verb agreement, so magpo-pause kayo sa pagbabasa para i-check kung tama ba yon. Kaya nai-interrupt yung pagbabasa mo at pag-intindi mo dun sa binabasa mo. So these are the 10 characteristics of poetry. Let's proceed with narrative, lyric, and descriptive. These are the types of poetry. Narrative is a type of poetry that tells a story. If the poem is narrating or telling a story about the tales of ordinary people and it can be sang, we call that ballad. If the poem is telling a story about legendary or historical heroes, it is called epic. These are usually a naturally long narrative poem. The next type of poetry is lyric. Lyric is a type of poetry that has only one persona. It expresses strong thoughts and feelings. Lyric poem can mostly be found to poems that has the genre of mental health, patriotism, anxiety, depression, brokenness, loss of someone, and etc. As long as the poem expresses strong thoughts or emotion. It has three subtypes. First one we have ode. Ode is a poem intended to praise a person, thing, or an event. Isang tulang pagpupuri or pumupuri sa tao, bagay o pangyayari. Second, sonnet is a poem that is consist of 14 lines, and each line should have 10 syllables each. It has a specific rhyme scheme in English which is usually ABAB, CDCD, EFEF, GG. Last subtype of lyric is called elegy. Elegy is a poem that mourns the dead, resolves the grief by concluding that the death leads to immortality. It often uses apostrophe. Naniniwala silang naririnig at nakikita pa rin tayo na nandito pa rin ang espiritu ng mga namayapa, kaya gumagamit sila ng figures of speech na apostrophe or pagtawag sa Pilipino. You'll notice as well that they believe in spiritual realm as well as to reincarnation. The last type of poetry is descriptive poetry, which describes the world that surrounds the speaker. It uses elaborate imagery and adjectives, while emotional, it is more outward focused. For the readers to identify your emotion, your thoughts, status, or situation, you have to give emphasis on what is around you. What does your environment look like? What type of people are around you? So, example of a poem of descriptive tones of people laying on the ground, destroyed buildings after a deafening sound, gallons of blood around, silence and peace can't be found. In this stanza, you'll see or visualize a war or a tragedy happened. The last subtype of poetry is descriptive. Descriptive poetry describes the world that surrounds the speaker. It uses elaborate imagery and adjectives. While emotional, it is more outward focused. For the readers to identify your emotion, thoughts, status, and situation, you have to give emphasis on what is around you. What does your environment look like? What type of people are around you? Example of a poem that has descriptive on it. Tons of people laying on the ground. Destroyed buildings after a deafening sound. Gallons of blood around. Silence and peace can't be found. In this stanza, you'll see or visualize a war or a tragedy. Although it's not specified that there is a war, but based on the description, the audience will get the idea of it. So that are the three types of poetry. Let's proceed to the elements of poetry. First one, we have meter. Meter is a rhythm that is continuously repeats a single basic pattern. If you started your first line with a foot or metric of a specific number, for example, 7, how would you know if your poem has a metric? Count the words by syllables. That should be retained and consistent until the last line. Next one, rhyme or rhyming. Two lines of a poem together with the same rhythm. Sa Pilipino, tugmaan. Rhyming words are words that end with the same sound with almost same spelling. Rhyming sounds don't have to be spelled the same way. For example, cloud, aloud. They do rhyme, Although they do not have the same structure or spelling, almost the same spelling, it is similar with the sound, which is the sound of oud. Rhyme is the most common sound device in poetry. So I have here an example of rhyming words. I saw a fairy in the wood. He was dressed all in green. He drew his sword while I just stood and realized I'd been seen. So the rhyming words here are the line 1 and 3. Wood and stood. Just few letters are changed so that it will remain the same sound and almost same spelling. And then the line 2 and line 4 are the same structure or same spelling, just changed in the letters, some letters on it. So we have different variations or various patterns for rhymes. We call them rhyming patterns or rhyme scheme. We have AABB, wherein lines 1 and 2 rhyme and lines 3 and 4 rhyme. Second pattern will be ABAB, lines 1 and 3 rhyme and lines 2 and 4 rhyme. Line pattern ABBA, wherein the line 1 and 4 rhyme and lines 2 and 3 rhyme. Last but not the least is the ABCB. Lines 2 and 4 rhyme and the lines and 3 do not rhyme. So for examples here, for AABB rhyming pattern, the example is the stanza from First Snow by Mary Louise Allen. Snows makes whiteness where it falls. The bushes look like popcorn balls. And places where I always play look like somewhere else today. So as you can see here, the line 1 and 2 do rhymes. Line 3 and 4 do rhymes. Next, the pattern ABAB. Example is the stanza from Oodles of Noodles by Lucia and James L. Himes Jr. Oodles of noodles. I love noodles. Give me oodles. Make a mound up to the sun. Noodles are my favorite foodles. I eat noodles by the ton. See here, the line 1 and 3 do rhymes, and then the line 2 and 4 do rhymes. The third pattern is ABBA. So the stanza I have was from the poem Bliss by Eleanor Forjon. Let me fetch sticks, let me fetch stones, throw me your bones, teach me your tricks. So the first and last line, which is line 1 and 4, do have rhyme. And then the two in the middle, which is the line 2 and 4, do rhymes. This is the ABB rhyming pattern. And last but not the least is the ABCB rhyming pattern. And the stanza I have is the poem Alligator by Mary MacDonald. And it goes, the alligator chased his tail, which hit him in the snout. He nibbled, gobbled, swallowed it, and turned right inside out. So the line 1 has only 1 on it. It has no rhyme with other lines. And then the B, the line 2 and the line 4 do have rhymes, which is the sound out. And then the line 3, similar with line A, they have no rhyme. So that's the ABCB pattern. So let's go proceed with a rhythm. Rhythm is the flow of the beat in the poem. It gives poetry a musical feel. Can be fast or slow depending on the mood and the subject of poem. A pattern created with sounds: hard, soft, long, short, bouncy, quiet or loud, weak and strong. So that's the rhythm. It is the pacing of the syllables. Next, we have Stanza, a part of a poem with similar rhythm and rhyme that will usually repeat later in the poem. Stanza can be created through lines. It's a group of lines. Verse, a line of a poem or a group of lines within a long poem. It only has one idea. Next is, here is the graph for you to better understand lines and stanzas. Most of written in lines, it's a blue day. And then a group of lines in a poem is called stanza. Yung tatluhan na po yan. Stanzas separate ideas in a poem. They act like paragraphs. And to this poem, we have 2 stanzas in total. Imagery was mentioned a while ago already. Imagery is the mental pictures the poet creates through language, most important element of poetry. And next we have diction. Diction is the selection of specific words. Sa Tagalog, ito ang proseso ng pagpili ng tamang salita. Kaya nga minsan, 'di ba, pag gumagawa kayo ng tula, you ask your classmates, you ask your teachers of what is the perfect term. If there is a synonymous or antonym word for an idea that you want to translate to or to check. Form is the arrangement of words, lines, verses, rhymes, and other features. So here in form, this is the totality of your poem. It is the structure. Last one is the cadence, used to signal the rising and falling of the voice when reading a literary piece. Here, you'll see this on spoken poetry, on what will be the one that will give emphasis by the speaker himself. So we have forms of poetry. We have first the couplet, tercet, acrostic, cinquain, haiku, senryu, concrete poem, free verse, and then limerick. Couplet. A couplet is a poem or a stanza in a poem written in 2 lines. So dalawahan lang po ito. It usually rhymes, and it is a pair of consecutive lines of poetry that create a complete thought or idea. Example, my cat, she likes to chase a mouse, especially the one that's in the house. So it has a rhyme, and if it is combined, if it's just going to be converted in a stanza, it only has one idea or one thought. Another example, it's hard to see the butterfly because he flies across the sky. So the second one here, or the second line, is a dependent clause or dependent phrase. That makes it just one idea. Next we have tercet. A tercet is a poem or stanza written in 3 lines. It usually rhymes again, and the line 1 and 2 rhyme. Lines 1 and 3 can rhyme. Sometimes all 3 rhymes, as long as it has rhyme. Example, the poem is Winter Moon by Langston Hughes. How thin and sharp is the moon tonight, how thin and sharp and ghostly white is the slim curved crook of the moon tonight. So the rhymes here is from line 1 and line 3. Tercet, again, it's a 3-line stanza. Quatrain. Quatrain, from the word itself, it's quattro. A quatrain is a poem or stanza written in 4 lines. The quatrain is the most common form of stanza used in poetry. It usually rhymes, and again, it doesn't necessarily has to have rhymes. It just usually have rhymes. Get it? Can be written in variety of rhyming patterns. Example, fill her magazine, then pull the trigger. The stillness of bullets will deliver deadly shiver. From the magnitude of her firepower, the shadows of her light will be the hunter. This is my poem titled Killer. So this stanza has 4 lines. All of them has the rhyme, and the rhyme scheme or the rhyme pattern that I used is the A, the 4 A's. We have Cinquain, traditional Cinquain. A cinquain is a poem written in 5 lines that do not rhyme. Traditional cinquain has 5 lines containing 22 syllables in the following pattern. Should be the line 1 has 2 syllables, line 2 has 4 syllables, line 3 has 6 syllables, line 4 has 8 syllables, and line 5 will be back to the 2 syllables. Total of 22 syllables. So again, if you're gonna write a traditional cinquain or cinquain, it should have 5 lines and 22 syllables in total. Example: "Oh cat, are you grinning? Curled in the window seat as sun warms you this December morning," by Paul B. Hanesco. Another type of cinquain is the word count cinquain. When we say word count, it is as literal as it is. We're gonna count the words we're gonna use. If in line 1 we have written just one word as a title, we have to make sure that the line 2 has 2 words. Line 3 has 3, line 4 has 4, line 5 has 5. But it doesn't necessarily to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If your line 1 has 6 word on it, the line 2 should have 7 lines. Line 3 should have 8, and then line 4 should have 9, and then the line 5 will go back to the line, should go back and should be the same to line 1. So that is the word count. Pagbibilang ng salita na ginamit kada linya or kada taludtod. That is word count, cinquain. Let's skip this. So let's go proceed with haiku. A haiku is a Japanese poem with 3 lines of 5, 7, and 5 syllables. Total of 17 syllables. Again, haiku is a Japanese poem with 3 lines of 5, 7, 5 syllables. Total of 17 syllables. And is about an aspect of nature or the seasons. It does not rhyme, and it captures a moment in time. For example, "Little frog among rain-shaken leaves are you to splash with fresh green paint" by Gaki. Haiku is itong Nihongo or Japanese poem wherein it should have 17 syllables at kailangan nagpapatungkol ito sa kalikasan. Yan ang haiku. Another Japanese poem is Senryu, wherein it also have 17 syllables in total. The difference of Senryu to haiku is that Senryu talks about human nature, mga gawang tao, in natural world. So we have here the poem of Bag. First day, new school year. Backpack harbors a fossil, last June's cheese sandwich. So this, it doesn't have to be rhyme. And again, same to haiku, 17 syllables with 5-7-5 pattern of syllables. And then, again, pakatandaan po, haiku is about nature. Senryu is about human nature or gawang tao. Next, we have the concrete poem. Concrete poem, also called shape poem, is written in the shape of its subject. The way the words are arranged is as important what they mean. Does not have to be rhyme. Here, kung napapansin nyo, rain is rainbow, rainbows, rainbows. Black boots and big puddles, slushy streets and soaked trees, wildflowers and wide paths, bumblebees, bumblebees, books of colors. So here the structure is like a rainbow. And the way this poem the way it was written is like also a rainbow. So if your topic, if your idea on your poem under concrete is about diamond, or let's say it's a heart, you have to make your poem be in a heart pattern. You have to write your story, or you have to write that poem with the structure of a heart. That is concrete poem. Kung ano yung nakasulat, kung saan pumapatungkol ang tula mo, dapat ganun din ang structure or design, yung kabuuan, pagkakasulat ng tulang ito. Free verse, ito yung gustong-gusto natin. Ito yung malayang tula. A free verse poem does not use rhyme or patterns, can vary freely in length of lines, stanzas, and subject. So here, ang meron sa free verse na example natin ay tatluhan or tercet. 3 lines in each stanza. Walang tugma, malaya ka kung anong gusto mong isulat. That is free verse. Last is the acrostic. In acrostic poem, the first letter of each line read down the page spells the subject of the poem, type of free verse poem, and does not usually rhyme. For example, leaf, loose brown parachute escaping and floating on puffs on air. So yung sinabi dyan, it read down the page and it spells the subject of the poem, which is Leaf, L-E-A-F, by Paul Paulili. So that is acrostic. Yung topic mo or yung idea mo, gagamitin mo siya, yung letters nun. For example, if you want to write a poem about your loved one and his name is, let's say it's Ian. So you're gonna use the first letters of those names, I-A-N. And then gagamitin mo siya. You're gonna think of a description that will start with I, with A, and then with N. So that is acrostic. And then limerick. Limerick ay yung mga tula na nakakatawa. A limerick is a funny poem of 5 lines. Line 1, 2, and 5 rhyme. Lines 3 and 4 are shorter and rhyme. Line 5 refers to line 1. Limerick are kind of nonsense. So kahit may pattern siya, kahit may structure or style siya na sinusunod, limerick are those what we call the nonsense poem, because it doesn't make a sense. It doesn't make a sense. For example, There Seems to Be a Problem by John Ciardi. I really don't know about Jim. When he comes to our farm for a swim, the fish as a rule jump out of the pool. Is there something the matter with Jim? Okay, do we get it? Do we get the poem? No. What the topic all about is that I really don't know about Jim. Is there something the matter with Jim? That's all. Just the line 1, 2, and 5 does matter. The line 3 and 4 doesn't make any sense, or is not related with the line with the topic itself. That's why it's becoming a nonsense poem. Right? So that is the last type of form of poetry that we have. I have here, if you were a grade 11 student, please do this on any paper, clean sheet of paper. Label whether the following forms of literature are classified as prose or poetry. You will see the basis or reference for this of the characteristics of each form of literature, the prose or the poetry, at the very first page of the recorded video. You have to submit this as tiny activity within today as well. You have to give it, you can submit it until 6 p.m. this evening. So that will be all. If you have any clarifications, please send them to our GC or group chats. call my attention, please, for any clarification for this activity. So that will be all for today. That will be all for this week's discussion. Hope you learned something, and if you have a question regarding the entire video, please take them notes, or please take them down on your notes. We have to clarify them, and we have to be clear with them so that there will be no confusions and there will be no doubts. That will be all. You have a good day.